more than 3 decades, Troy Harrison has helped B2B companies build stronger sales organizations, improve performance, and navigate today's buying environment. Troy is a featured speaker for Vistage Worldwide and author of Sell It Like You Mean It and The Pocket Sales Manager. With 15 years in frontline sales and sales management before he began teaching others, he founded the Sales Navigator in 2004 and has worked with hundreds of B2B companies in 23 countries. He's known as the Sales Navigator. Please join me in welcoming Troy Harrison.
All right, welcome everyone. Glad to have everybody on board. We will not be, I won't be doing, well, actually I'm going to be doing screen sharing for a lot of this, but it's not going to be the typical PowerPoint type screen share. This isn't a PowerPoint type program. It's going to be a very different look than some of the webinars you've seen. And okay, so let's talk about AI a little bit. Everybody's on here wanting to learn about AI and what it can do. And I'm going to try and give you some ideas that I use almost on a daily basis from my own AI tech stack. And I feel like I'm in a weird place on AI because I'm trying to tread a middle ground, which is very, very difficult right now. As that video noted, I speak for a lot of Vistage groups around the country. For those of you who don't know, Vistage is a great organization. It's made up of all these small CEO peer group coaching groups all around the country. I say small. I think the biggest Vistage I've ever done was 20 people. Some of them go down as much as 8. It's great, though. It's an intimate environment. I get to work with these people for 2 to 3 hours. I absolutely love doing them most of the time. And I did one a couple of weeks ago in LA, and I actually posted on it about it on LinkedIn and wrote an article because it really didn't go the way I wanted to, because all they wanted to talk about was AI, which all we're going to talk about today is AI, but this is an AI webinar. That program was actually a program on building a sales organization. And I mean, I had people in 20 minutes say, well, we're tuning you out because you haven't talked about AI yet. It's not an AI program. So you have a lot of people right now that are kind of on the all AI all the time path. And that to me is the wrong path. Because without good, solid business and sales fundamentals underpinning what you're doing, AI is not going to do that much for you. And that program actually began with a self-assessment on their sales programs. And it's 9 questions, again, self-assessment, 9-question assessment, and the top score would be 45. The top score possible, and the highest score in that group that anyone gave themselves was 29, and the lowest was 16. These are the lowest aggregate scores I've ever seen. I've done this about 10 times now, and but still, they didn't want to talk about anything that would affect that score. They just wanted to talk about AI. The reason I say it's difficult to tread a middle ground is that about a year and a half before, I spoke for a different Vistage group in Texas. And this was on hiring salespeople, and I was actually banned from discussing AI even as a tool for developing interview questions, which I thought was kind of crazy. So I find myself in a weird spot between the everything AI and the no AI whatsoever people. And hopefully most of us are in that space, because I think that space, that's where the money gets made, in my opinion. And so what we're going to talk about today, I am going to presume that you have solid sales fundamentals. I'm not intending to train anybody on how to sell today, but what I am going to do is hopefully expand your capabilities and hopefully expand what you do and how you do it, and give you some capabilities, because AI to me it's an incredible productivity tool. It's a time saver, and it's a leveler. Tell you what I mean by leveler. Most of my clientele, not all of it, but most of my clientele is in the small to medium-sized business space, and that's the way I like it. I enjoy working with those companies, but those companies don't have the large staffs, thick layers of middle management and administration that you can just point somebody to a task and they'll just accomplish it for you. AI gives those companies those tools. And so to me, AI levels the playing ground between the small companies and the large companies. And I think that is something very, very valuable and hopes is valuable to those of you on this webinar. And before I get into the demos, which I'm going to dive into the demos real quick, uh, I want to once because some of you, I mean, there may be people on here who are very experienced with AI. There may be people who are just beginning, and both of those are great. Um, but I want you to understand AI a little bit. AI is more properly called large language modeling. What that means is this: conventional past searches, Google searches, whether Google, Yahoo, whatever, those searches you would put in a search term and then it'd go out and search the web, and you might get the right answer, you might get the wrong answer. Matter of fact, those terms, sometimes the more words you put into your search in the pre-AI days, the worst your results got because the search engine was having to pick and choose. It could only understand one word at a time, and it's picking and choosing which words were most important. AI understands paragraphs, it understands context, it can create paragraphs in context, and the AI tools that we have are advancing at just a rate that's just silly. You know, AI started out with ChatGPT. I'm sure everybody here's heard of ChatGPT. And I read an article a while back that said that ChatGPT was probably going to become the MySpace of AI, and I think that's true. I haven't used chat for almost 2 years. My tools of choice are Claude and Perplexity, and they're not separate. They work kind of in a tag team for me. Perplexity, what it is best at is researching and footnoting that research. And Perplexity does an absolutely great job at that. It when I want to do complicated research, whether it is on a topic that I'm researching for an article or a book, or looking for survey or stats, or researching prospects or customers, Perplexity is my number one go-to. Claude's good for research down to about 1,000-foot level. I've actually had Claude do research for me in the past. Last summer, I was looking for a new video camera to really upgrade my video. And I'm not using that, by the way, right now. I'm using my laptop webcam. But I gave Claude my parameters, my budget, and Claude first found out that my budget wasn't realistic. It happens. But Claude not only found the ideal camera for me, it actually found it on the shelf at a camera store 12 minutes from my house. So I could actually go see it, touch it, and hold it in my hands before I bought it, which was just incredible. I mean, it would have taken, the whole process of researching this thing took me about 20 minutes on Claude. Would have taken me all day, and maybe I would have gotten a good result or maybe not, because I don't know squat about video cameras. And so these tools are my right arm. And I always tell people, think of AI like the best intern you've ever had. It has an IQ of 180. It has 20 PhDs. It has no street smarts whatsoever. We have to direct it. We have to edit it. We have to correct it. But as we do those things, it gets better and better at understanding what it is that we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. And I always tell people, you do want to check the output that you get. Last summer, and I think it's still out there, the New York Times Sunday magazine had an article on Tony's Kansas City. And it talked about how Tony's Kansas City was the hub of the Kansas City barbecue scene, how the owner, Tony Bateo, learned his love of smoked meats when he was young from his father, how he had developed his own sauces, his own spices, how the baby back ribs were especially. I mean, Tony's Kansas City sounds like one hell of a restaurant. Problem is, it's not a restaurant. Tony's Kansas City is a current events blog here in Kansas City. I read it, and the last time I checked was admittedly 2 months ago. But at that time, that article was still there. Somebody decided they wanted to write an article on Kansas City barbecue. They plugged it into ChatGPT. ChatGPT went out, somehow found that there was a Tony's Kansas City that exists, made up a whole bunch of crap about Tony's Kansas City being a barbecue restaurant, and then and created this article. And I'm sure other AI has then used that article as a source. So you always want to check and edit and keep an eye on what you're getting. With all that said, let's go ahead and dive in. And what I'm going to do is show you my, I'm going to show you applications of Perplexity and Claude. And again, Perplexity for me is a research tool. And I'm first going to demo these on some actual real life research projects that I have. And then I'm gonna take some suggestions a little later because I want to involve one of you a little bit later uh, in this webinar. But the whole idea here is just to show you the capabilities of what these tools can do. By the way, I pre-wrote my prompts. I didn't want to bore you guys by having you sit here and watch me type out prompts. So I went ahead and created my prompts. So I'll be pasting those in. So here's Perplexity. Again, Perplexity is my primary research tool. One of the biggest issues that we have in sales is developing customer and prospect lists where we have good data, good information, the right person to call, and a hook to make that call. And we used to be able to do spray and pray teleprospecting or email prospecting. It worked okay. Nowadays, we want this to be much more personalized. So here's where I'm going to start researching with Perplexity. And there's a lot of other applications for it, but here's one example. Here's what I told Perplexity. Good morning. By the way, I always greet my AI with good morning or afternoon. It's polite. Um, I'm a sales consultant who helps B2B companies with sales teams of 5 to 50 reps where the owner or CEO is still closely involved in sales leadership, typically from 3 million to 250 million in revenue. I'm traveling to Vernon Hills, Illinois next week, true, for a speaking engagement, and I want to identify 5 companies headquartered within a 5-mile radius that fit this profile. I want to see if I can get some additional appointments while I'm there. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. That's not part of the prompt. Sorry about that. I should have muted. For each company, please provide company name and headquarters address, approximate employee count and annual revenue if available, a 2 to 3 sentence description of what they do, the name and title of the most likely decision maker for my services, typically the CEO, president, or VP of sales, their LinkedIn profile URL, any notable news, including hiring activity, leadership changes, or strategic initiatives from the past 6 months. Please format the output at a table I can export to a spreadsheet and cite your sources for each company. I've run this prompts like this before. I have not run this particular prompt. So this is the first time Perplexity is seeing this exact prompt. Let's see how long it takes Perplexity to get where we want to go. And the thing of it is, you can watch Perplexity making its decisions, figuring out what it is that it wants to do. And here's what it's giving me. Here's a table of five B2B oriented companies headquartered within roughly 5 miles of Vernon Hills, Illinois, that fit your sweet spot profile. I formatted so you can paste it directly into Excel or Google Sheets, use a paste values, and keep the pipe delimited structure if needed. Rust-Oleum Corporation, I'll be damned. American Hotel Register Company, Cole Parmer Instrument Company. And it's giving me revenue. And by the way, you'll notice Rust-Oleum is outside my ideal client profile. And it's also not giving me the names of these people. It's not okay. So I'm going to give it a little bit more refinement here. Learning Resources Inc., American Optical Company, small to medium. Okay. For each row, replace the LinkedIn search text. If you prefer the preferred ICP. Okay. I am going to go back because I wanted to find these names. I know it can. 2 things. And by the way, this is not a failure of the process. A lot of times, the first result you get back won't be accurate. So what we're going to do, you do have to refine. This is good. I don't mind because this shows me how to refine it. outer refines. First of all, Rust-Oleum is outside my ICP, ideal client profile, for those of you who don't know. So please find another. Second, I'm sure you can find the name of the CEO. Please do so. There you go. See, you're right on both counts. Rust-Oleum is a poor ICP fit for you, and yes, we can be much more precise on CEO names. Hit the tool call limit and can't run new. Okay, so interesting. Um, if you're good for that, I'll use my next turn to do these things. And then it actually gives me, yes, please proceed with finding a new company and confirming all CEOs. I can't complete. Okay. This is interesting because Perplexity doesn't do this to me very often. Okay. If I reply, go ahead once more. Huh. Yeah, this is weird. But it could be. Okay. Now we're going somewhere. All right. All right. Okay. Now see, we're getting yeah. Okay. Now we're getting what we want. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got here, though. And it took me, I think, about 2.5 minutes to do that. And yeah, I had to, slap it a couple of times and reminded of what I was trying to do. But here's what we ended up with: CDW Corporation in Vernon Hills, Illinois. Net sales were above my ceiling, but relevant. CDW is a B2B IT solutions provider, most likely decision maker, and it gives me the name. And again, by the way, I'm scrolling down because I want to hit the scroll over bar and see what else it gives me. Yeah, but it's now giving me the names of what I want. Whether these companies are perfect for me or not, don't know. And by the way, it's also going to give me some advice. And it actually says, if you'd like, next step, I can draft 5 short LinkedIn or email outreach messages. Okay, we're going to do something interesting that I hadn't planned on doing here. But if you look over here, uh, some of them it gets the LinkedIn profile. Some of it tells me how to. Not all of them may have a LinkedIn profile. Some of these big companies don't. Now, it's going to give me a couple of next level. If you'd like, next step, I can draft 5 short LinkedIn or email outreach messages tailored to each CEO or CEO president pair that explicitly reference your Vernon Hills speaking engagement and suggest a 30-minute in-person meeting while you're in the area. What the hell? Yeah, let's do that. I was actually going to transfer this table to Claude, and matter of fact, I'm gonna do a copy paste here. I'm at least gonna copy this off. Um, let's see. I wonder, first of all, can you give this information in a table I can download? I'm having trouble selecting it all for a copy and paste. Should be able to do. Can't generate an actual, okay. Um, well, hell, let's try the instructions. This is one thing about AI. I mean, you never know what you are going what you're going to run into. So let's try copying all of it. Use paste special, split text to columns for text or text import. Paste special, split text to columns. Paste special, paste as Unicode text. Let's see what that does for me. Okay. Not totally liking that. So it gave me the other instruction of text import as the I as the delimiter, or with the bar as a delimiter. Actually, I tell you what, this is going to be good enough because I'm going to paste this into Claude here in a minute. So Claude should be able to find this without any problem. But matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and switch to Claude right now because I'm pretty sure that for content's sake, Claude is going to be better at giving me the outreach prompts that I'm looking for. Okay, now I have already created my prompt in Claude, so I'm going to go ahead and okay, I'm going to paste my text table in, and now I'm going to paste in my prompt, and then I'll show you what I'm doing here. All right. All right, let's go back and screen share this. By the way, Claude always goes, "Hey there, Troy." It's very personable. Okay. So, here's my prompt. I'm attaching a list of 5 companies and contacts with whom I would like to set up sales meetings in Illinois next week. For each contact, please draft a personalized outreach email that references something specific about their company, role, or recent news. Don't be generic. Leads with a likely business problem they may be experiencing, not with my services. Mentions I'll be in the area on May 6 and 6 to 7, 2026. Proposes a brief in-person coffee or office visit. Stays under 150 words. Avoids salesy language, exclamation points, and any phrase that sounds like a template. Then it gives a brief summary of me. Please produce all 5 emails, each with its own subject lines. Let's see what we get now. And here's the thing, I am showing you this because I want you to think for a moment about how much time it would take you to do all this manually. And I know it seems like we're doing this kind of ice cold, and we are a little bit, but the big deal with any AI program is training it. I have spent a lot of time training Claude, and one Claude gained the capability early this year of being able to reach across chats. It used to be that when you created one chat thread, everything you do stayed self-contained within that chat thread. And you could have a parallel chat thread that told Claude everything about you, and you'd still have to refresh that knowledge. It doesn't do that now. So even though this is a brand new chat thread, Claude is doing to some level drawing on the things that I have already told it about me and about what I do to create these outreach emails. And Claude gives you the progress here. Okay, here are the 5 drafts. Um, okay. And it's even explaining why it did what it did. Okay, for Christine Leahy, holding price when IT spend slows. Christine, the late 2025 reshuffle at the chief growth and innovation level, combined with customers slowing IT spend, puts real weight on CDW's frontline sellers to defend price and protect margin. That's a tough ask in any environment, and it's a problem I spend most of my time on with sales leaders. I'll be in Vernon Hills May 6th through 7th. I'd welcome 20 minutes on site or over coffee to compare notes on what's actually working for sales productivity right now. This isn't a pitch. CDW is well outside the size I typically consult to. I do speak to large sales organizations on holding soft price and soft markets. I'd value the exchange either way. Okay, I'm not going to read all of these word for word, but this is a great example of what can happen. Scott Somerville, Mitsubishi Electronics, setting Milton and your success up for a clean handoff. Two transitions are landing at the same time. Your retirement and Milton stepping into the VP of sales seat. Huh, that's pretty good. Okay, here's the thing. I'm learning here, right? I mean, the first one here, CDW, I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to do anything with that one because they are outside my ICP. This one, with what they've going on, I might reach out to these people, see if I can't get a meeting. Um, Lena Parnell at Innovaxis Marketing, subject where the leads go to die. And their concern is going to be about the fact that they're generating leads and the sales department isn't bringing them through once they're done. This is probably more of a a networking meeting, and it's asking for a referral relationship. I tell you what, again, this one might be worth actually reaching out to. I've got dinner plans with the chair that I'm speaking for, but I'm flying in at about 11 o'clock. I've got the afternoon for some meetings. Uh, all about vibe for my, so yeah, again, this one's probably, I don't know. I'll have to think about that one a little bit. My point is this. We have spent, and I started doing the demos at, I believe, about 11:15. And we have spent about 12 minutes and we have gone from nothing all the way up to having 5 approach emails for people that are, and it's very tailored for them. So I want you to think a little bit about what you're doing. If you're an owner or a sales manager, think about how you can deploy this to your salespeople. If, on the other hand, you're a salesperson, let's say that the curse of outside sales is windshield time. You know it, and I know it. Let's say that you're going out for a sales call in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and you've got an appointment in Baton Rouge, and you're coming out of West Wego, Louisiana. Yes, Katie, I'm talking to you. I know their geography. And but you want to have a few more sales calls rounding out your trip, because if there's anything that sucks more than driving 100 miles to do one meeting and then driving 100 miles home, now there are a few things more that suck, but it's a waste of time in sales. So tools like this can help you try to get additional meetings. And here's the really cool thing. The really cool thing is that this is stuff you can do very quickly. Matter of fact, if you do have an actual human intern, you can even sick that human intern or sales assistant on doing this. But all of this maximizes the most important thing about sales, and that is customer face time. Everything we do in sales is about getting quality customer face time. Can increase both the quantity and the quality of your customer face time. So this right by itself is a great technique to learn. And by the way, if you don't know how to use it, if you're watching this and you're going, I still really don't know how to do it, I'll tell you the best source of how to use Claude, and that's Claude. Claude will actually give you instructions on how to use it for maximum benefit. I even asked, full transparency, I actually had Claude help me draft the prompts that I'm putting back into Claude for the purposes of this webinar. Not because I didn't know what I wanted to accomplish, but because, to be honest with you, it was quicker, and who the hell knows Claude better than Claude? All right, so now we're going to take another prompt. We're going to go next level. Let's say that we have landed a discovery call with one of these people. And I tell you what, since it looked like Scott was probably the most likely one, I'm going to go ahead and use Scott Somerville as my discovery framework here. And basically, this is another prep. And if you're continuing, by the way, my prompt actually has a lot more verbiage than this, because my prompt refreshes everything about what I do and how I do it and all that. But I don't need that because I'm continuing the thread. And I'm just going to go, I have a discovery call scheduled with Scott Somerville that we discussed above. Now you're seeing why I didn't type this stuff out in real time. Uh, and I'm just going to say, use the research above. Use the research you already have. Please prepare me for the call by providing 5 hypotheses about the most likely pain points or strategic pressures. For each hypothesis, 3 discovery questions I can ask to validate or invalidate it. The 3 most likely objections or sources of skepticism, and how I should think about each one. One non-obvious insight about this company or industry that if I bring up naturally would signal that I've done my homework. Now let's see what Claude comes up with for that. Again, we're taking what we just did and we're next leveling it. And again, I have done similar tasks to this. I'll tell you one thing that I do sometimes, and I haven't done it yet, but when I'm preparing for a Vistage group, I actually have a standing prompt that I use, and I'll go to Vistage, pull the roster. I'm not going to do that for you guys right now, just because there's some confidentiality there. But I'll actually go to a Vistage group, pull the roster, drop the roster into Claude and or Perplexity. And actually, when we get into the nuanced stuff, I find that Claude's a little bit better. But I'll drop that roster in and say, tell me what to anticipate about these people. Usually it's great. Well, 2 weeks ago in LA, I didn't do it. And who knows? Claude might have gone out, found their social media post, and found out that all these people want to talk about is AI. So, um, but it is great pre-call prep. And understand, you still have to use your own mental agility. You still have to understand the buyer's journey. You still have to work with the buyer's journey, but unprepared sales calls are ineffective sales calls. I do see that I have something in chat. Um, Mark. Oh, excellent question. We would like to put up some guardrails on what a rep may input into AI so company sensitive info doesn't get put into the universe. Do you have any thoughts on that? Yes, I do. I think, well, okay, first of all, there is a setting you can use on nearly any AI program that ensures privacy of the chat. In other words, what I'm putting into Claude right now doesn't go into the larger Claude universal database because I've got a privacy setting on that that says don't do that. However, I'll be honest with you, because everybody has different thoughts on what's confidential and what's not. I would actually consider asking your AI platform what the best way is to do that. And, some of it, there's so many internal controls. And by the way, this does go to a good place though, because in my opinion, companies need to have an AI policy on what can go into AI and what can't go into AI. And I hope that helps. And I'll be honest, Mark, I'd be also happy to talk with you offline about this one-on-one. I'll even put up a framework for that towards the end of this program. But great question, great thought, definitely something you need to consider. Okay, let's see what we got. Discovery call prep from Scott Somerville. Reminder, these are hypotheses, not conclusions. Your job in the first 10 minutes is to figure out which 2 of these actually resonate and go down on those. Don't try to validate all 5. It's actually giving you pretty good coaching advice. Okay, rank by probability. Pressure to close his final year cleanly. Anytime you got a retiring CEO, yeah, that's huge. And it's giving us some good discovery questions there, even all the way down to Milton on the VP of sales. And if I got to be honest, if I have this call, I'm going to have a lot of difficulty getting Milton in Office Space out of my head. Don't tell him. System integrator channel coverage erosion. This is more industry specific background, but it's great information. Margin discipline, squeeze from above and below, that's natural. Solution selling capability gap, and setting Milton up to succeed. And again, it's giving me great prep questions. And if I actually end up having these call, I might elevate number 5 up to number 2 just because that's sales and that's part of my world. Most likely sources of skepticism. Why would I start something now? I'm retiring. We just hired Milton to do this work. And yeah, if I get the meeting, I'm going to expect that. However, if I get the meeting, I'm also going to know that there's more behind that. Industrial automation sales is difficult. Generic sales consulting doesn't apply. I actually have an industrial automation client who I'm actually looking to see. She's not on this webinar, but she said she was going to be. She must have got sidetracked. Anyway, uh, I can answer that because I've actually had industrial automation clients. One non-obvious insight, their e-factory program, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. But here's what I want you to think about. It took less than 2 minutes for it to generate the response. It actually took longer for me to answer Mark's question than it took to generate the results. Again, this is a great tool and a great time saver. Don't think of this as scripting the sales call, however. Think of this as a roadmap to integrate with your normal discovery. If you have a good discovery structure, and if you don't, you should, this is stuff to integrate with it because there are certain things about customers that we all need to know. Um, and that's important. Understand, today's salesperson has to be mentally agile. They have to understand, know, and work with the buyer's journey. They have to have their act together. And every sales call should have an objective that you want to get out of it. One mistake I made, by the way, in my prompt is I didn't tell Claude what I was looking to get out of this sales call, which that's okay. I left it out on purpose. But you should always give Claude what your call objective is when you're asking Claude to help you plan these sales calls. Sales managers, owners, your opportunity is to lead this charge. Participate with your salespeople in planning these and create a cadence where your sales and look, there may be moments where you do all this research, you get into the call, none of it matters. We've all had those sales calls. But you are so much better off walking in with your act together into a sales call than you are just going in and winging it and walking in fat, dumb, and happy. And look, I've been in sales for a long time. Everybody knows that. And I have been in sales during the times when you could walk in fat, dumb, and happy and say, "So what do you guys do here?" and have a shot at getting a piece of business. It's not that way anymore. Your sales calls tend to operate on tighter timeline. Sales calls tend to be more business first. As I always like to say, nobody's scheduling appointments to talk about football for 30 minutes. And this is an opportunity to make the most out of your customer face time. That is important. Now, I want to bring somebody else into this, and it's literally just going to be kind of who gives me the info first. But I'm going to put another prompt in here. And I'm going to ask someone in chat. I want you to give me a target customer that you're about to call on and just a quick description of what you sell. Some of you I know and I know what you sell, but go ahead and put it in for the purposes of this. And then we're going to do a little discovery prompt for you guys. So go ahead and I mean just start. Whoever puts something in chat that makes in the chat room that makes sense first, That's what we're going to go with, and we're going to help you prompt for. If it's a real sales call, so much the better. But yeah, I want, and I'm doing this because I want you to see how this works and how you can use it. So far, we've been using my own data, which is fine. Believe it or not, I'm actually doing productive work for myself while I'm on this webinar, which is kind of cool. But and if you want to just make it generic in terms of these types of companies, that's okay too. I realize that some people may be reluctant to put their specifics in here. And if I don't get anything here in a couple of minutes, I will go ahead and just do it again probably based on Scott. But I want to give people an opportunity if you want to jump in and have me do this for you. And this is an exercise. I do these types of exercises in live programs as well. So, okay, here we go. All right, Katie was first. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and I've got to move the chat box over a little bit. And I may actually, matter of fact, I can. This is for Loop Linen Service in Louisiana. They sell sheets, towels, scrubs, and paper products to customers like this. The customer is Mississippi Sports Medicine. I promise I know how to spell words, I'm just not typing them well. Okay, so we are going to build a discovery framework for Katie on this. And matter of fact, if it's helpful, do some quick research on loop, linen, and Mississippi sports medicine. And then it's going to say, build me a discovery call framework, 8 discovery questions sequenced in the order I should ask them. For each question, tell me why, what I'm trying to learn. The 2 or 3 follow-up probes I should be ready to use after each question, and a short disqualification check at the end, the 2 to 3 signals that should tell me to politely disconnect. The question should sound like a peer or trusted advisor asking, not a vendor running a script. Avoid cliches like what keeps you up at night. Let's see what we get. By the way, I'm having fun here. I'm enjoying this because I have done so much work with Claude over the past couple of years. It's kind of second nature to me, but I hope this is helpful to you guys. And I'm still learning new capabilities. Like for instance, I rewrote copy for my web page to do some updating, and I wanted some formatting in there, but I don't have the knowledge to do that. I was able to drop the copy into Claude and have it create HTML code to format it in a graphically accessible and graphically attractive way. And that's something I would have had to pay a web guy to do. And Isaac, who isn't on this, I don't believe, he's the guy I would have had to pay to do it. So sorry, Isaac, you'll still get some business from me on some other stuff. I've got to do some work on my homepage, but it is just incredible what can be done with this tool. And again, it is a tool. Now, a couple other things. Claude has a great smartphone app, and I have Claude on my smartphone as well. You can actually, if you're one of those people who still does door pulling cold calls, going out and going door to door, you can actually pull up in front of some place, very quickly type the information in. I don't know, maybe even, I haven't tried, but maybe even take a picture of the location and get a standing prompt that says what you need to know in research to go in and make a cold call. And it will help you do that. Okay, Quick read on the prospect. This isn't a typical clinic. Their surgery center is 75,000 square feet with 12 OR. Oh, good God, these people are big, Katie. Um, 2025 U.S. News, best ASC for orthopedics and spine. CEO Meredith Wharf is a CPA. They run 8+ locations across Mississippi. This means three things going into the call. The textile volume is enormous. Accreditation pressure makes hygienically clean certification, which Loop has, a real procurement criterion. And because they're private, not a hospital department, they own their textile P&L directly, which makes them more sensitive to cost and more empowered to switch. Question one, walk me through how linen and laundry actually flow across your operation today. It's going to give you these questions. It's going to tell you what you're learning. And matter of fact, Katie, if you want, I will copy this and email it to you later because this probably is pretty helpful stuff. Um, and it even tells you what a good answer sounds like. Uh, Follow-ups, how long have you been? How long did that relationship start? What do you handle in-house? Question two with 12 ORs. And again, I'm not going to go through all of these. We're actually getting down a little bit shorter on time. But do you got hopefully you see the power of this type of tool. Look, this doesn't substitute for salespeople. This doesn't substitute for sales manager. What it is a force multiplier that makes you stronger, that makes you more effective, and you have to use your own intellect and your own abilities to make that sales call effective. But I got to be honest, I like these questions. I like the way they're worded. You don't have to use them exactly as worded. Transfer them into your own verbal language. But this allows you to go in with a game plan. And down here, I'm going to scroll through quickly. Disqualification check, locked in content. Of course, they know about that in that industry. Signal 2, no path to authority. Signal 3, pain isn't motivating. Again, these are these are things that make excellent pre-call prep. And again, I would add, if you're doing this live and for real, I would add in more information about what my call objective is, what I'm trying to accomplish. And notice I didn't tell Claude who I was meeting with. If you have the name of the person that you're meeting with, that's going to home in more. This is just a very broad brush demo of what these tools can do. And there's actually a lot, you can actually use these to role play a sales call. I could do another prompt that says, okay, let's role play this sales call. I'm going to be me. You be, what was the CEO's name up here? Let's see. I know it's in here. I just missed it. Um, anyway, uh, yeah, Meredith Wharf. There we go. I'm going to be me, you be Meredith. I'm going to ask you questions and let's role play this. And I in the role play, I would say, don't be afraid to throw me a few curveballs. You can actually role play your sales calls yourself before you go out and have them. Do I do that? Yes, I do from time to time because it helps me stay sharp. Here's my point, guys. The power of these is almost limitless. Now, what I would like to do now is I want to open the floor to some questions before my final comments because I am sure that there are some questions that have arisen. And I'll take I've got about 5 minutes to answer some questions, and then I will have some final comments and discussion before we move on. Just a couple of more things I want to share with you guys. But yeah, but yeah, any questions, any questions, conversation, raw tomatoes, any of those things. Let's see. Nothing in chat so far. Of course, I know it takes people a little while to type things into chat. And if nothing else, tell me if this was helpful to you. Oh, wait, one new. Uh, Thoughts? Oh, excellent question, Dan. Thoughts about Gemini. Okay. Here's something I haven't covered. There are a lot of other AI tools out there, and I have not used them all. I have not used Gemini. I've heard good things about it. Again, Grok. I have limited this to two of the three AI tools that are in my common tech stack. The third one, by the way, is called HeyGen. HeyGen makes videos from written scripts, and you can either use their avatars or you can use yourself as an avatar. And the reason I haven't talked about it, I've worked with it some. I have not gotten my avatar the way that I wanted it. Their videos, if you just use their generic people, are very good. I've still got work to do on refining it to make mine work. But if you want to do demo videos or that kind of thing, check into HeyGen, HeyGen.com. It's great. Grok I've messed with a little bit. Grok is, I don't know, to me, Grok leans heavily towards political research. It's pretty good. It's also pretty funny, some of the responses that you get, but I have not used it much for business. Same way with Gemini. What differences do you see between the paid and free versions of Perplexity? I use Chat and Claude paid versions for proprietary info, but I don't really want to pay another. I get that. And I'm actually, by the way, I'm actually paying $100 a month now for Claude. That's how much I use it. Perplexity, I pay 20 bucks a month. I do use Perplexity. A lot of what I use it for is research for articles, and as you saw, I do research, use some of it for customer research. The free version of Perplexity, it doesn't allow you to do that much. If you're going to embrace it, I would say go ahead and use the $20 a month version. As far as chat, like I said, I haven't used chat in a couple of years, so I can't really speak much to that. Um, I'd Claude, if I had to pick one platform, gun to my head, Troy, you can only use one platform, I'd use Claude. Claude actually goes so far as to help me create PowerPoint slides because I'm crappy at designing PowerPoint slides. But Claude can create a slide deck where I can drop in pictures and images, and it looks pretty good. If I will say this, Katie, I think that if I were going to drop, if the three ones dealt out on my deck here were Chat, Claude, and Perplexity, and I was trying to figure out two to pay for, I'd pay for Claude and Perplexity, and I'd drop Chat. But if you were going to do that, make sure you export everything out of Chat that you've already done. Which tools to create customer CRMs? Have not done it yet, Cameron. Matter of fact, that a next level project that I want to do is learn more about, and for CRM, I use HubSpot. Um, I feel like creating a CRM, and maybe I didn't interpret your question correctly, but I feel like creating CRM is a little bit of reinventing a wheel that doesn't need to be reinvented. However, I do want to learn more about what Claude's capabilities are in reaching into my HubSpot and interacting with my HubSpot. I know that Claude has an application called Cowork that sits on your desktop. It's an app, and it would actually substitute everything I'm doing on the Claude web interface. I could just do on Claude Cowork, and Claude can actually reach into some of my other apps like HubSpot, like Outlook, automate some of those tasks for me. And as I've told everybody, as I always tell everybody, I'm a one-man show, so anything I can do on that level is well worthwhile. It's on my project list. It's down a little ways, but I'm hoping to get to it by the end of May. Here's the other thing. A lot of what we have talked about is it may not necessarily be outdated in 6 months, but in 6 months, I may come back and do another webinar advancing what I've talked about here because the pace of AI is moving so damn quickly that, I did an AI webinar last year and I looked at it and there wasn't much from it that I could actually use on this webinar. That's why this is a completely new and different piece. So yeah, that kind of those are kind of my thoughts on AI. Again, Claude's my go-to, Claude's my right arm, and Perplexity is kind of the shirt that my right arm wears, if you will. Or maybe it's the wristwatch on my right arm. I wear my wristwatches on my left arm, but work with me here. And if I had to give up one of those, I would give up Perplexity. My hope is that in another 2 or 3 months, I'm going to have a lot more knowledge about both HeyGen and Claude Cowork, and I'm going to be able to tell you a hell of a lot more about those. Okay, so couple more final remarks before I let you go for the day. Uh, the next thing is and I'm going to offer a webinar next month called It's Not Your Salespeople, the Four Layers That Determine Whether or Not a Sales Organization Performs. And it is going to go into a full four-layer model of how to build a sales organization. This is great for owners, for VPs of sales, for sales managers, because most people, when they want to fix sales problems, they only attack one layer. There are four layers to building a successful sales organization. I call it the navigator's chart. I'll be rolling that out and showing you how to implement it next month. And if you are a sales leader or a CEO or a principal or an owner, you don't want to miss this one. It's going to be great and it's going to be foundational for a lot of things that I do. But I want to make one more offer to you, and that offer is this. I offer a complimentary consultation. It can be on AI or it can be on evaluating your team in terms of those four layers. But what we'll do on this Navigator Sales Diagnostic consultation call is we will spend 45 minutes to an hour in a one-on-one session focused entirely on improving your sales organization. You'll walk away with at least 2 to 3 specific recommendations that you can use immediately to make money. It is not a sales call for me. It is a free consultation to access my brain and my expertise. I love doing these. I want to do as many of these as possible. So and it's open to, owner, manager. I apologize, it's not open to individual salespeople just from time constraints, but if you're an owner, a CEO, a president, a sales manager, a VP of sales, any of those people, I'd love to do one of those with you. And all you've got to do to claim yours is just put yes in the chat box. I will reach out to you individually and we'll go ahead and get your setup. So if you want one of those consultations, whether you've done one with me before or not, go ahead and just put yes in the chat box. I'll make note of who it is, and I will get with you. So again, thank you very much. Everyone have a great day and use this stuff. Get used to it. Thanks.